If there is one thing that a Star Wars fan will know, is that we all witnessed the big promises made by Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy back in that 2013 interview between herself and George Lucas, and how she promised George to really take care of the overall characters that he created back in the 70s and the 80s, as well as with the prequel trilogy movies. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, we all saw that Kathleen Kennedy did a complete 180 with all of that by not respecting George Lucas and completely turning her head away from Lucas and not even honoring the legacy of the Skywalkers per se. You know, obviously a lot of fans out there have issues with the sequel trilogy movies, and all thanks to Jon Favreau for really turning things around, at least for the most part. You know, the only thing that a lot of fans are very skeptical over is The High Republic and Star Wars The Acolyte, which, by the way, is by Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland. Now, everything related to George Lucas, obviously a lot of things are happening as we speak between himself, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, to really steer things in the right direction for the fans overall. Basically, what they are aiming to do right now is that they are aiming to bring in tons of Star Wars Legends material that's going to satisfy a lot of fans around the world in order to really give fans a better sense of where things are going. So, Dave Filoni, he knows the deep Star Wars lore. That's going to be explored heavily in the Ahsoka Tano series, so looking forward to that. However, what's really exciting all has to do with George Lucas's stance on the criticism and minor backlash of Luke Skywalker in Mando Season 2's finale. Given that The Mandalorian Season 3 is now in development, Disney and Lucasfilm are very focused on their new projects for the universe moving ahead. It's described, however, that creator George Lucas is working closely with both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni for their new projects coming to Disney Plus in the next couple of years. Now, further, it's noted that recently Disney CEO Bob Chaypek took part in an interview where he was able to speak on behalf of George Lucas, where he revealed that George Lucas stated that he actually realizes that there is some form of criticism and backlash from the fans over the CGI use of Luke Skywalker in the finale of Mandalorian Season 2. At one point in time, Chaypek revealed that George Lucas said that he believes that all fans will find something to dwell on and nitpick over, and that's just a part of being a fan, but realizes that the backlash of Luke's CGI work is just a minority and takes no offense to how some fans reacted to his character that he created back in '77. Continuing to say, of course, that this was done in order to keep Luke's appearance in the series a complete mystery and secret to the entire fandom, and that it was absolutely necessary to make sure that the ultimate reveal would be that surprising. Chaypek also reveals that Lucas stated that CGI will always be easy to point out if you look hard enough on the image, since it's not perfect just quite yet for faces, and that in just a few short years, ILM will be doing incredible things with this new technology in place for future films and TV shows associated with Lucasfilm. So, let's stop right here for a second before we move on. Now, I never had a problem with the CGI on Luke's face in Mandalorian Season 2. I never really overanalyzed it. I am a very analytical person, I will admit. I'm a very analytical person. And I was actually quite surprised that I wasn't all that focused over the CGI work on Luke. I know it's not perfect. I know it's not 100%. Yes, there are flaws. Yes, it stands out at times depending on how Luke is talking or how Luke is turning his head. I understand that. But we don't really look at that. We don't really focus on that. What we're focused on is just the sole fact that Luke is standing there, you know, in front of Mando, you know, Din Djarin, Grogu, Cara Dune, Bo-Katan, and just giving us that lively experience of a Skywalker being in the room. So that's really what, you know, was the driving force by Jon Favreau to make this happen, is that he wanted to really create more positivity within Star Wars. He saw the opportunity. He knew exactly what to do, basically. Mark Hamill knew about this for roughly 1 year, and even Mark Hamill, you know, wrote on his Twitter of how, you know, honored he was to have Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni do the unexpected, and making one realize that that's all what they wanted all along. You know, I think that tweet by Mark Hamill that he tweeted a couple of days ago speaks volumes, because It just shows us exactly what Mark Hamill wanted with The Last Jedi by Rian Johnson, which unfortunately was not a success, at least for Star Wars fans. Yes, it did good at the box office, but it was not a success in terms of how the fandom really, perceived the actual movie and accepted the movie. Sure, you're always going to have The Last Jedi defenders, and that's fine. But everybody has their own opinion. That's a part of being a fan or just a casual moviegoer. But like I said, when we go ahead and take a look at George Lucas, alright, he does have a point here of what Chaypek had to say about what Lucas said, is that it's a minor backlash by the fans, a minor piece of criticism. I don't really see it being a major thing, right? Obviously, fans are speaking out about their own opinion, they're voicing their opinions, whatever have you, about, their thoughts of the CGI work done on Luke, in, of course, Chapter 16 of The Mandalorian. I get that. The other thing is this, however, ILM is going to be doing very interesting things in the next couple of years for new TV shows and new movies. Now guys, like I say, this most likely has something to do with the Rise of Skywalker sequel series that I've been talking about for a number of months now, and something that a lot of fans have been very interested in, and that actual sequel series is going to have lifelike animation. This most likely is in line with that big tease of ILM using some kind of new technology to create CGI faces and CGI work on characters. So that's another thing to actually take note of right now. So here's the thing about, George Lucas and what's going on behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm, right? We obviously know that George was very upset with Kathleen Kennedy. In fact, he still holds a grudge against her. And that's pretty sad. I mean, I get that it's George Lucas and all, but it's so sad that we have come to the point where the final movie in the Skywalker saga upset the creator of all things Star Wars so much to the point where he did not even want to attend the premiere of Episode 9 because of what Kathleen Kennedy had done. Let's never forget that. I mean, George never arrived at the actual premiere for Episode 9. Nowhere to be seen. And that was a big shocker to a lot of Star Wars fans. It was a big story, a big mystery at the time as to what was going on, and eventually it made a lot of sense. So everything related to, George, John, and Dave, as I like to call it, the Favreau universe, which is of course going to revolve around, 5+ Star Wars projects for the time being so far. That's all going to work in conjunction with each other in the same exact era, if you will. That's going to be a big starting point for this new expanded universe that's going to spark a brighter future for the franchise. Again, we have to really give Favreau and Filoni a lot of credit, as well as George Lucas, the man who made Star Wars back in the 70s and 80s. I think that obviously Favreau knows that Star Wars fans deserved better, and that's exactly what he's doing, We got the Book of Boba Fett coming out December 21st of this year, I believe is the date. Then we got Season 3 of Mando, 2022. They're still undecided on if they want to do it in mid or late 2022, or maybe even early of that year, right? They're not quite sure yet, they're debating on that. But the other thing is this, is that they're also very focused on balancing everything between Jedi, Force lore, everything that there is to do with the Mandalorian aspect of Star Wars. They're looking for ways to balance all of that out to please all Star Wars fans on different fronts. Whether you're a hardcore or a casual Star Wars fan, they want to please pretty much everybody equally by diving into, different types of Star Wars projects on Disney Plus, and eventually to arrive in theaters with the movies and the new trilogy, of course. So spin-off films are a big focus. A trilogy is also a big focus right now. They're really doing a lot of work on everything related to the franchise. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them once again.